Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Bandera. Today is Monday, July 12th. It is 6:03 p.m. and we are holding this meeting from City Hall. Present are all council members, and I, Mayor Pro Tem Gibson, am filling in for Suzanne Schauman as she is out. And we also have here with us this evening our City Secretary, our City Attorney, and our City Marshal. Item 2 is the invocation and pledge. Will?
Most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all together this evening. Lord, we'd ask for your blessings upon this meeting. We'd like to thank you for all the wonderful rain that we've had, the beautiful weather we've had today. Lord, most of all, we'd like to thank you for your Son who died upon the cross for our many sins. Lord, we ask for your blessings on us and help us make us as good as we can be, but not as good as we're going to be tomorrow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sure. Anybody else? Candy? Item 3 is visitors to be heard. At this time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the council. Presentations should be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Individuals not able to attend due to space limitations may email the city secretary at least 2 hours prior to the meeting and provide your comments to be read. We have 2 folks present, and anyone's email? Okay. Cindy Beckham. Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to take a moment, I won't even take 3 minutes, just to thank the city council for funding for the Cowboys on Main, and to let you know that it's deeply appreciated. And to remind everyone present and in the record that next Saturday, the 24th, is National Day of the American Cowboy, and we will have a large event on the courthouse lawn, and we will have lots of activities for children, cowboys, vendors, a whole variety of things going on. So next Saturday from 9:30 to 3. Thank you
This
again.
coming Saturday.
Yeah,
Thank you, Cindy.
yeah, the 24th. Thank you.
And Jared, what's happening?
You can unplug that. It's the drive-through window. Somebody's here.
Someone is there.
Jared?
They're dropping it in the drop box. Go ahead,
Okay,
continue.
thank you. Jared, all you.
Jared Wilcox, president of the EDC. I wanted to come let council know. Unfortunately, I am shutting my business down in town. The end of this month. I am opening my cobbling business, and due to requirements and costs and everything else, I wasn't able to find another place in town. I just wanted to let the city know, even though the city changed the rules for EDC to any county resident, I just want to be transparent about my business will now be outside of city limits at Holly Peak and 16. So, yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. I appreciate you letting us know. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? We'll move on to item 4, the consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes from the June 3rd, 2021 regular meeting, June 10, 2021 regular meeting, June 17, 21 regular meeting, and June 17, 21 Board of Adjustments meeting. Anyone? Jerry?
I'll make a motion to approve
Yes, sir.
the minutes from June 3rd, June 10th, June 17th, and the Board of Adjustment meeting on June 17th also.
Is there a second to approve the consent agenda by Christine? Any further, no discussion, all in favor? All in favor, looks like none are opposed, thank you. Discussion and possible action, item 5 on the following items. A, discussion and possible action on a resolution ordering a general election of the qualified voters of the City of Bandera for the purpose of electing 3 council members to serve 2-year terms. Darcy, would you like to make a motion?
I would.
please.
I'd like to make a motion that we have a resolution ordering a general election of qualified voters of the city of Bandera for the purpose of electing 3 city council members to serve 2-year terms.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Oh, second?
Second.
Yeah, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Yes, all in favor, and none opposed. Thank you. Item B, discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending Bandera Code of Ordinance, Section 103031, to change the day and time of the regular meetings of City Council. Darcy, I believe this was your agenda item.
It was, so I was not here, for when, the meetings were changed to Mondays. Mondays to me are, an awful day to have a city council meeting. The biggest reason is, and it's not because I have any other obligations necessarily on Mondays, it's not only for myself or other council members, but mostly for citizens that may be gone on long weekends, but also for us that may be gone on long weekends. I know oftentimes either I'll take off on a Friday or I'll take off on a Monday to give myself a long weekend to go out of town, and I'm sure citizens want to do the same thing that may want to come to city council meetings, and to me that's a big reason not to have meetings on Mondays. So I just want to kind of bring that to light. If that wasn't something that was discussed that day, I didn't see it in the video, so and I know there were other council members that had issues with Monday as well, so.
Is there any further discussion on that? Yes.
Mondays now, the same day that we decided, the Chamber of Commerce decided to move meetings. So Monday nights for the next 3 months, this Monday, second Monday, whatever the month, is our Buckfest meeting. And so now I'm missing that for the next 3 months. So I don't know if I'll be removed from the board for missing consecutive meetings or not. We haven't decided that yet.
So what was the reason behind we not being able to do it on Tuesday?
I don't remember Tuesday being discussed
That was the first
specifically.
one. That was the first one.
I think that was an
Was
attorney
it-
issue.
I think it really came down to attorney presence, essentially. We, first we wanted to move it back here, but then we really wanted to accommodate the day and time to be able to have attorney present at least a meeting a month for relevant issues. And so this was our really, it was Wednesday or Monday, and folks didn't want to do Wednesday because of steak night, which I get it.
It wasn't folks plural. I
It
said
was-
that
yeah,
would
you
be
did
messing with
mention
my
that.
steak night.
Yeah.
As it would a lot of citizens' steak night. I mean, a lot
Sure.
of people
I-
in town go to steak night.
Absolutely.
They have people come in and visit it. Tuesday's ideal for me. Mondays are awful. Thursdays are just bad in general. I don't think it's a good day to have a lot of action items on a Thursday night to try to be done on Friday and then remember and follow through on Monday. I think earlier in the week is the best. Do I think Monday is ideal? Absolutely not. Tuesday is ideal.
My thinking is that, I know that really is, what time is your Buckfest meeting?
5:30.
5:30. I don't
Are
know.
you not available any other days besides Monday and Wednesday? Excuse me.
Thank you,
I
Joe.
have third Tuesdays.
Third Tuesdays.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, I
well,
mean,
I couldn't hear
the
that.
third Tuesdays. So
The first and third.
we could
Tuesdays.
move to the first and third Tuesdays and still have attorney present one meeting a month.
That'd be great.
The chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we move our meeting dates to the first and third Tuesdays of every month.
May I clarify something real quick? Can you give a start? Beginning when?
We had our first meeting, Monday meeting starting
sorry,
our
should-
next meeting, right?
I don't have my phone.
I just want
calendar in front of me,
to
so
pause
I'm
and have you
not-
restate your motion if you don't mind with a
Yes.
start date.
Sorry, let me pull up my calendar.
August 3rd is the first Tuesday. If we did it first, and if we started the third Tuesday of July, then it would be next week, so. I don't know if that's ideal.
Yeah. Does that work for everybody?
Beginning August 3rd.
So, to restate my motion,
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion that we move our council meetings to the first and third Tuesday of every month, beginning, next month, August
August 3rd.
3rd.
Still want to second that motion? Sure, Tony. Okay, great. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. There
Thank
we
y'all
go.
for being willing to relook at that.
Thank you, I got what I wanted.
I think everybody is good with it.
Item C, discussion and possible action on a resolution appointing, Donna Ross to the Bandera Economic Development Corporation. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion. if that's
Sure.
okay. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Donna Ross to the Bandera EDC.
Okay, and a second by Tony. Any further discussion or input, insight? Anybody? No? Yeah?
I would
Tony?
just like to state that when we solicited applications the first time, and we had invited all of those applicants to come to the EDC when we had it at City Council, we did a workshop and we kind of met all of them, they spoke up from the audience. Donna was not chosen that night on the EDC, but she consistently has shown up at meetings and been involved, and I appreciate that more than anything, and the fact that she was willing to step in when we had some vacancies again, and even despite it, in spite of everything that she's witnessed over the last many months, she's still willing to do it. God love her. So, so I appreciate her involvement as a citizen, and I think that she deserves this appointment.
Great. Any further discussion? Call for a vote, all in favor? Yeah, we've got all in favor and none opposed. Thank you, Donna, and thanks EDC.
Welcome.
Item D, discussion and possible action on a resolution approving an expenditure by the Bandera EDC in the amount of $65,000 for the purchase of real property. Anyone from the EDC? Oh, sure,
Oh,
go ahead. I was just looking, I'm happy to entertain a motion first if you want to make a
Go ahead and
motion.
do what he has to say, if he wants to talk.
I don't know if anybody wants to talk on behalf of the
Okay.
EDC for insight.
During discussion portion, I'll let you guys take what's there.
Okay. This is not what I'm looking for. Yes, Jerry.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I would like to move to approve the expenditure by the Bandera EDC in the amount of $65,000 for the purchase of real property.
Second on the
I'll
motion?
second. I'll
Okay,
second.
Christine seconds. So, any further discussion on the item? So, I guess, since we're not discussing specific locations in open session, is that correct? I mean, the location's not on the agenda, right? So this is just an expenditure approval. There's no budget adjustment required or any line items that, okay.
Should it be an up to 65,000, or is it something
That's
that's
I
what-
think the resolution's written as a not to exceed,
Not to exceed.
and it's written for any eligible, purpose under 505-152, I believe,
Okay.
which is community facilities, parks,
Okay,
things such as that.
Is the motion okay the way it's been moved?
If the motion is to approve the resolution, then everything's written in the resolution appropriately.
did you state the resolution in your motion
You
to approve the resolution?
I
Okay,
I
great.
don't think so.
Okay, I can do that. I move to approve the resolution approving an expenditure by the Bandera EDC in the amount of $65,000 for the purchase of real property.
Okay. So with
Christine would need to-
Jerry amending his motion to include the word resolution.
I'll still second
Okay,
that.
very good. Any further discussion? No, all in favor? Okay, I've
I'm
got,
sorry.
okay, we've got everybody in favor.
I was reading, I'm sorry.
Okay, very good. Moving on. Item E is discussion and possible action on residential versus commercial utility rates for short-term rental properties. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to recuse myself. I signed an affidavit of conflict of interest with the secretary, so I will step outside during discussion and he'll come get me.
We will excuse you.
I
Yes,
don't think
ma'am.
there's anything else I need to do or say, but
Okay.
if that's the right protocol.
Yeah.
This is for the
Do I
fee
need to send
schedule.
anything else?
This
I
is
don't
for,
think so, no.
Who's agenda?
so I have in
Whose
front
agenda
of me,
item was that?
Do you want
I
me to-
couldn't tell you. Yeah, please,
Okay.
Jill. Yeah.
So this
Jump in.
item was brought to us, I don't know if y'all remember or who was on council at the time, but in August of 2019, the short-term rentals, the Airbnbs in town, council voted to change them to commercial rates because they're using them as businesses. So we've had some people come forward that don't think it's fair or have stated that it's illegal, which is why I have consulted with the attorney here. So that's what this item is about. The short-term rental or possibly a business that is being run as a business are paying commercial rates, not residential rates. And I was asked to put this back on the agenda for council to discuss, and I asked the attorney to give his insight on the legality of it. So there you go, that's all.
So,
That's what I'd like to hear.
right, so, when this first discussion first came up back in 2019, the city administrator at the time reached out to discuss whether or not that could be done. And so, the thing, there's two things to keep in mind on this. And when folks are complaining or saying it's illegal, I think what they're referring to is, there was a big Supreme Court decision that came down regarding a case out of San Antonio as to what extent you could regard short-term rentals as a business. The thing about that case is, that was a case brought against an HOA. Because the HOA was saying you're in violation of your deed restrictions because it was a airman who left San Antonio but retained his home and was doing short-term rentals out of it. But the case was not about municipal authority. It was about, can an HOA bring a suit against a homeowner for using their property as a business. Now, if you're familiar with what a lot of the other cities do, the City of Boston, Wimberley, Fredericksburg, some of those are very similar to Bandera in the sense that they have a lot of short-term rentals. And they do regulate those. Now, whether or not you regard it as a commercial account or a residential account is within your purview as a municipal utility provider. Now, when Jay called, we did talk through that, and I'll tell you exactly what I told him. Typically, when you look at this for a water account, it's whether or not the usage is exceeding that of a regular residential usage. So is the usage such that you could differentiate just by looking at accounts if the usage on this meter for this property is any different from this one over here that's also residential. Because if it's not, you have to start deciding, so what is your further justification for saying, this is more of a burden on our system, and so they should pay a different rate. And I'm not at all saying that Jay made a bad decision or the council made a bad decision, but that's one of those factors that you look at if you're defending those decisions is, what is the burden on your system? Because if to provide this utility to this site is no different than providing it to this site, and the only way I know the difference is this one's registered with me as a short-term rental. Backing up a step, that's what I think began that whole discussion, was this city was having a hard time getting everyone to comply with paying the hotel occupancy tax as a short-term rental and registering with the city. It's not about an extra fee to collect for them to register, it's so that you can monitor whether or not they're paying their hot tax, which is far more important, I would think, to the city than charging them a different rate on their water utility billing. Those are policy decisions, though. I just don't want someone, I don't when people say something's illegal, I wanna know why you believe it's illegal or how you think it's illegal. And I've heard that a few times coming back from owners of these properties. And that's not what that Supreme Court case says. It's not about you as a municipal utility provider being able to differentiate. You absolutely can say this is a commercial account and this is a residential account. But, you know, whether or not that's a good policy decision is up to y'all.
Darcy?
I think, I mean, Dan's already alluding to it, but Jill, could you tell us, when y'all look at the water utility bills, can you tell the difference?
I do not have any idea. I don't typically look at them. I know at that time when it was being done, if Jay was working very closely with Laura, who was very good at what she did, and they went back and forth and decided which ones, because I found the email in Jay's email, but I wasn't part of it, so I would really have to study it for probably a month or two before I could even determine or pull past bills, you know what, I would have no way of knowing.
I think one of the challenges too, Darcy, that you have is if I own a property and let's say I advertise it for short-term rentals, but you walk in and you're like, look, I'd love to rent this place, but I'd like to rent it for 60 days or 90 days. Well, that I don't have to collect hotel occupancy tax now, right? Because that's not a short-term rental, it's not less than 30 days. But I'm still, you know, does that change my utility account? You know, so that there's a bit of a problem with trying to, you know, determine on the, because you have some of those here I'm aware of that they rent longer than that, but sometimes it's shorter than 30. Well, we can't change their account every month depending on whether they're commercial or residential. So that's just another factor.
I'm gonna just add this one piece too. This is also impacting the garbage rates, which are significantly higher as well. And so for those residential homes, which they are residential homes in the community, that are operating as Airbnbs, that piece excludes them from the bulk pickup run that happens every 2 months. And these people are still cutting limbs and cleaning their yards and needing to keep up the appearances of their homes, but they're being excluded from that piece of the service, and I don't like
Yet
that
they're getting the same service, right?
at all. I'm 100% in favor of switching residential homes back to residential rates. And from my recollection, it was not a council decision. It was discussed at a workshop, and then it was an administrative decision to move forward with doing it. That's my 2 cents. Did you have your hand up?
I did, but I addressed it.
Yes, Darcy.
I'd like to make a motion, if I may.
Miss Mayum?
I'd like to make a motion that we change back the short-term rentals that were moved over to commercial utility rates back to residential utility rates.
I'll second that.
Okay. So, just to be clear, this wouldn't apply to any short-term rentals that are in the commercial district that are not actual residential properties, correct? As the motion, okay. Just to be clear.
Just the ones that were already switched, that have been switched from residential to commercial, I'm gonna change back to residential. If they're actual residential homes.
Right, only the residential homes.
Correct.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Nothing.
I'll
Jerry, that's just how I look. I'm sorry. I was probably thinking.
I'll second that. Jill.
Okay.
So I seconded Darcy's motion. Is there any further discussion? Did you have a concern with that motion as
I'm not
stated?
familiar enough with the ones that are not located in residential areas. I mean, if they're more like a hotel or something such as that, then I understand
That's all I meant. And I don't even know if any of those places were impacted by this change back then. I just wanted to make sure that it was only for the actual residential homes.
All right.
Okay, so, all in favor? Yes, all in favor, oh, I'm sorry.
We were.
All in favor? No? Okay, 3, sorry. Keep your hands up. Darcy, Jerry, and Rebecca in favor. All opposed? Okay, Christine is opposed. Did you have, the item is still open if you had
I just-
discussion or another motion you wanted to make.
No, I just feel like we don't know if it's impacting without doing any work, looking at it. You know, I know, yeah, some of them aren't happy that they pay more for trash, but I also know what kind of trash they produce. I just think it warrants a little bit more than just saying, hey, because they are a business.
Okay,
They're making money, they are a business.
okay.
Are they
That's
getting
why-
more service though for the increased price that they're paying?
Well, okay, is any of our businesses in town getting more service for the increased price that they pay?
Well, a business should. You're gonna get a dumpster instead of the small trash can that I get at my house.
There's still
Sorry,
a
we're
little
still
time.
discussing.
Not entirely true, because there's a
Sorry,
business
Will.
that can't have a dumpster
I mean, we
because where
did
it's
vote,
located.
but
I'm
We
just
did vote, but
curious.
it's still an open agenda item and there could be another motion.
I'm just thought that it warrants looking at at the water number.
I wish you would have suggested that before we voted, because we could have
I
maybe.
was trying to think through it, so,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
If someone, any of us, I feel, have a question as far as how they should vote based on lack of information or knowledge, then I respect that, and I'm more than willing to amend my motion. If we'd like to take a look at the actual numbers on some of these accounts.
yeah, if Jill can have us something in a month, our first Tuesday meeting or something.
Well, it was your motion, so you would
We
need to
made- which
withdraw
one?
it.
Darcy made a
Darcy.
motion
So,
and I
Darcy, you would
seconded.
make a motion to reopen the item?
I'd like to make a motion for me.
Yes,
Like to reopen the item.
yes, I'll second. Do we need to vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Yes, all in
And then-
favor. The item
so-
is reopened, thank
So,
you.
so the reconsideration would be, so we wouldn't actually implement any changes until staff brings back to council some actual data on the
Thank you.
number and the impact, is that what I'm hearing?
So, would you like to table this agenda item? Go right ahead, Darcy.
That would be my motion.
Okay,
To table the agenda item until we get more information.
do you want it
I'll
on the
second.
August 3rd?
On the August 3rd.
Okay.
meeting, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to table to the August 3rd meeting made by Darcy, seconded by Jerry. Any further discussion? Thank you very much, Christine. Okay, all
I'm
in favor?
sorry.
That's okay. All in favor? I think everybody's in favor. Okay, moving on. None opposed. Thank you.
Sorry, Will.
It's just a monster. A little one. Not at my house, is it?
Okay, so Councilmember Coons is back from reprieve, and we're on item F, discussion and possible action regarding replacement of a utility disconnect and reconnect fee with a utility transfer fee. Tony, will you elaborate on your, this is your
will.
agenda item?
I will.
Okay.
So recently, I had been involved in a transfer of service to me in my utilities on an existing account. And I looked at the rate fees to expect, because I was asked by the person I was transferring it from how much it was. And I looked at the rate schedule and couldn't find anything on there. Anyway, I came in and asked, and they said that they were treating it as a disconnect and a reconnect, so that there was a $35 charge to disconnect and a $35 to reconnect. And in my research in the ordinances, I found a very specific definition of a transfer of service where it involved a single address and a transfer of service, and it didn't mention that it was being treated as a disconnect or a reconnect, and it didn't mention that there was a fee. However, in other places in the ordinance where it talks about what a disconnect reconnect is when a person is moving from one location to another location, and that there are two separate fees, and those are on our rate schedule. So in more being involved in this and stuff and doing research, I think that, I think there should be a fee involved because we are not, we do go out and do a manual reading of the meter. But it's one address, one manual reading, that number is put into a system in two accounts, one's closed and one's started. And in our case, there was no, I already had an account, it was just a second address. And so through all of this, we just feel like there's a gap in the ordinance and a gap in the rate fee. So I think I think there's a situation that's already being handled in the case of the apartments where they're owned by a person and someone comes in and gets utilities for that apartment and then they don't pay, it automatically gets transferred to the landlord. It doesn't get cut off, it's transferred of service. And I think they charge $35 for that, and I feel as though that is, and it's charged to the person that, I think, to the bill that got abandoned, right? And then, but anyway, I think the $35 is reasonable, a one-time $35 for a transfer of service. And we don't handle that at all in our ordinances. And I believe in the past they were treating it as a two-time, like a $35 cancel and a $35 reinstate. So that's the reason for this. We have a gap in our ordinance and it's time for us to address.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you're suggesting that there should be no disconnect fee in that situation.
I agree.
Okay.
The one $35 transfer service, and I believe it should come to the new service person. I believe that. That's my opinion. So
Sure, getting
The new
service.
service.
The new service.
new service.
Yes, Darcy.
Is the same amount of work having to be done by the staff for a transfer?
So in the history of the city so far, you know, I can only go by what's been done. And it's always been treated as two separate accounts. So in this case, she already had a property, so when she got this property, she put it on her account she already had. That's not the case in most cases. It's somebody sold a property and somebody else bought it, so we charge them a disconnect fee and then the new owner a connection fee because they don't have an account already set up in the city. So, you know, there's still paperwork that has to be done and they still go out and read the meter, but it's a little bit easier of a process because it's just adding another resident, you know, there's still involvement, it's not like it just happens, but it's not as involved as a whole new customer when they purchase a property and this person sells and leaves. So, that a transfer fee like that has never been brought up before, it's never been brought up on the fee schedule, it's always been a disconnect, reconnect, that's how we've handled it. When this came about, I said, well, now's the time to discuss it because it's budget, and this is when we talk about the fee schedule and when y'all approve it every year. So, you know, if we need to make a change, it needs to be during this process. And I mean, I can see both sides, so it's really
What amount
council's
of
decision.
what amount of work, as far as how much less work is it to do the transfer rather than? I understand her case is
It's some
different.
paperwork. Basically, if she didn't already have an account, she'd have to come in, fill out a new customer form, pay a deposit, or give a, you know, credit history or something like that. So it's just less paperwork. They're still going out, reading the meter, they bring it back, we enter in the computer, you know, so.
Well, I'm just looking at it from a cost benefit.
Jerry.
Is there physically, are they turning it off and turning it back on?
In this case, no, because
That's why it's
the
different.
property was just switched over, so they went out and did a final meter read on this person's account, and then that same number was transferred to this account because it never got actually disconnected and then turned back on. But they still had to go out and read the
But
meter.
you're gonna pay. Okay, so this really leads to the way I see this as well is it's a unique situation. It's not the same thing as a disconnect reconnect.
Correct.
Because there is, as you just stated,
Yeah.
there's no disconnect reconnect. It's
a
just a simple
transfer.
reading.
And this doesn't happen very often. This is
Right.
a very unique situation.
By definition,
so-
it's truly a transfer service, as opposed to
Right.
someone coming in saying, I want to disconnect, the house is for sale, and somebody else coming in a month later and saying, I bought this, I want to connect it.
Okay, and I can tell you, BEC, they don't charge you a termination fee when you have these situations. Their service is terminated and the new person pays their connect
Yeah.
fee, but there's no, it's a transfer situation. So, yeah, so
And
I'm
I would
agreeing
like
it should
to-
just be a
The
transfer.
Yes,
reason, the
Tony.
reason, I'm sorry.
It's okay, go
The
ahead.
reason I did recommend the $35 is BEC is all electronic. I mean, it's 100% electronic. They just go into a computer and they read it. Our guys actually go
There's
out and
not two
physically
fees,
read a
it's just
meter. So in a disconnect in one location and moving to another, like if somebody's moving from one city
Physical.
location to another one, they would have to actually physically go to two different locations. So you're impacting Department of Public Works as well as the office staff. But that is a difference from DB, but
No, I'm just saying
was
it's just one
comparing it to
fee.
other
It's
utility.
just- I was saying just one fee on the new side, there shouldn't be a termination fee over here, so it is like a transfer. That's kind of how they do it
Are
computer-wise.
you interested in making a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion that we add to our ordinances that there is a fee for the transfer of service, that the definition that we have there. And we match that on our rate schedule, add a transfer of service of $35 to the receiver of the service. However, that's what it is.
I'll second for discussion. So the only thing that concerns me right here is the mention of changing the ordinance without so is that just gonna be for the next agenda?
So the reason I stated that, and that,
In
oh,
fact,
okay.
it says discussion and direction.
Okay, okay.
So we'll bring back the necessary changes in ordinance.
In the ordinance and the fee schedule for
For
approval.
adoption.
Okay,
And so the reason for that is because it would then mirror other things that we define and mention.
Yes.
And the fact that there's a fee for disconnect, reconnect, when they're moving from one location to another, that it clearly states that there is a fee for transfer of service and that they know to go to the rate schedule.
okay, great. Yes,
I agree in that it shouldn't be a disconnect reconnect, so it shouldn't be a total of 70. However, I don't think it should only be 35. So I think it should be something more in the middle, like $45 or $50, because it is more work than just, the connection, but it's not as much work. So we have to look at it like that.
I disagree.
Who seconded mine?
I did.
Okay. Sorry.
You,
I would like to make an
Yeah.
amendment. I would like to remove the dollar amount
okay,
in my, so that we make sure that we mention there's a fee in the ordinance. So I'll restate my motion. I'd like to make an amended motion where we define in the ordinance that a fee is involved in transfer of service and that we update our rate schedule.
okay, I will second the amendment. Any further discussion?
So then my purposes of the amendment in the discussion portion is so that, because we will be coming up and doing a new rate schedule.
Right.
And so all of us can do our homework and find out what that right dollar amount is. We may
Right.
be going up on all of them, so.
Great. All in favor? Yes. Okay, we have all in favor and none opposed, thank you. Item G is discussion and possible action on a resolution authorizing the opening of a bank account at Bandera Bank for hotel occupancy tax funds and designated an authorized signers for said account.
Mayor Pro Tem, just so you know,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead and, if you want to, go ahead and read H as well. Discuss those together because the resolution anticipates both of them.
Okay, very good. So coupled with item H, discussion and possible action on a resolution authorizing the opening of an escrow account at Bandera Bank for Best Western Hotel occupancy tax and property tax refund payments. Just so that, should the motion include the signers or can that be done separately?
Well, there are blanks in the resolution.
In the resolution, so we need to
y'all
identify
will
that.
need to
And-
discuss that. Once you have a motion on the table, you can discuss who the appropriate
And then
persons are
amend.
to sign.
Okay. Sherry?
I would like to make a motion.
Yes.
Tim. I move to approve a resolution authorizing the opening of a bank account at Bandera Bank for hotel occupancy tax funds and designating the authorized signatures for said account. And also authorizing the opening of an escrow account at Bandera Bank for Best Western Hotel occupancy tax and property tax refund payments.
A second. And for discussion, Jill, where did the signers go?
There's
I'm on the-
blanks.
Yeah, keep going.
There we go. Wrong one. Okay.
And there's nothing magical about the number of blanks. Y'all add or subtract how many blanks you need.
Well, who's on our current signer cards?
Me, the mayor,
Me.
you, the city admin, and when and if we have one. And that's it,
Okay.
as far as our account.
I would suggest we just go with the city secretary, mayor pro tem, unless someone else is dying to do it, because we're all pretty accessible, and we can add a city administrator when we have one. Would you care to amend your motion if you agree, or would you like to suggest someone else go one
Go
more
ahead and make
page? Well, it's your motion, so it would need to be your amendment.
Okay, so I'm gonna amend this to include the mayor pro tem. And who else did we put? City secretary.
And the admin when we have one.
And I will second the amendment. Any further discussion on?
I think he needs to finish. He was writing notes so he could finish. He didn't actually say it himself.
I would like to amend my motion to
Oh, I thought we did, I'm
include
sorry.
the signatures as the mayor pro tem, and the city administrator as signators. Is that right?
Given that we don't have a city administrator,
For the future city administrator.
we'll have to come back for that specific human being at that point.
Okay.
Okay, so you just wanna leave two?
So just to clarify, it's because the bank has the actual names of the persons, so it's not the office. They'll actually have Mayor Pro Tem Rebecca Gibson, Mayor Suzanne Shulman, City Secretary Jill Shelton. When your administrator is retained, then yes, we will need to add them, but we have to wait until they're actually on board, so we have the name.
Okay.
And Dan said we didn't have to put 3. 2 is fine if that's all you wanna put,
Okay. I'd like to amend my motion to include the signatures as Suzanne Shannon, Rebecca Gibson, and Jill Shelton.
Okay. I will second the amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor? Yes, all in favor and none opposed. Thank you. Item I, discussion and possible action on an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2021 budget to transfer $92,250 from account 99, or line item 99, is that line item or account?
Good line item.
Yeah, right. 991003 pooled cash into the hotel occupancy tax fund account and approving a transfer of $7,679.08 from 991003 pooled cash into the Best Western Hotel occupancy tax and property tax refund payment escrow account. Yes.
I make a motion that says all that.
Okay, so motion to approve said transfers made by Darcy. Christine seconds. Any further discussion? No?
I just for the public, we have to do that.
Yeah.
So it's the only reason.
Okay, all in favor? All in favor and none opposed. Thank you. Item 6, closed session. The City Council will convene in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 551071, consultation with attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, to wit, any agreement associated with Main Street Shops and Lofts, LTD, aka Best Western, and other matters in connection therewith. So the time is 6:47, and I'm going to recess the open session of the city council. Okay, it's 7:37 and I'm reconvening this regular open portion of the meeting of the Bandera City Council. We are on item 7, action following closed session. The city council will convene following closed session to consider any action recommended to be taken during the closed session. And as it were, there was no action required. Item 8 is request and announcements beginning with A. Request by council to place items on an agenda. Anybody want to start? Tony?
I have two.
Yes, ma'am.
Number one, I would like to request a discussion of possible action regarding the mayor and council's role in the EDC day-to-day business. And the second one, I would like to have a workshop by council, invite the hotel's marketing liaison to discuss council's recommendations for the upcoming marketing plan.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Oh,
No,
sorry,
sorry,
that was
just getting my
hand.
glasses.
Okay, I'm gonna add two. Powers and duties of the city administrator. I should say acting city administrator. And discussion on opportunities for federal infrastructure funding.
Oh, there was another one. There was another one from earlier.
Well, something was tabled. Anybody have anything
Oh,
else?
yeah.
Do you want me to wait while you flip through?
We tabled the commercial and residential, that'll be back on
The third.
August 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know what it is.
Okay.
I think that was it.
Well, item B, announcements by council. No announcements. We already heard about National Day of the American Cowboy. Yes, Darcy.
I just wanted to thank Bandera and Bandera County residents for shopping at the Mr. W fireworks stand over the 4th of July. 2 weeks that the Lions Club was running that. It was a success once again, and that helps the Lions Club raise much needed funds to help the community. So thank y'all for buying fireworks.
I know what it was.
Tony.
May I back up?
Back up to
the-
A.
Yes. It had to do with the ordinance. Like, it's
Oh, right.
kind of an action item of the other one about changing the ordinance and adding it to the rate schedule. But we needed
The
an actual
transfer.
resolution. Is that an action item from before? We don't have to put it here. Okay.
I'm gonna send it to him and he's gonna tell us
I
what
just-
to do.
Okay.
That's your action.
Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes, Jerry?
I move to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
Christine seconds. Discussion. All in favor? Good night. It is 7:40.